Hey everyone, I'm Rick and thanks for joining me. And if you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button to help the channel grow. We're almost at 2,000 followers and I very much appreciate the support. Today we'll be looking at the xDuoo XQ-50 Pro3. And I'd like to thank Ayoshida Audio for loaning me a review sample. First things first, let's take a closer look at the unit. On the front of the XQ-50 Pro, we have just a couple things. The first is a little selector button. Next to that, the 6.35mm headphone output single-ended only, followed by a 1.3-inch color screen, and finally this red encoder, so it turns for volume and presses for a couple different features, and we'll talk about that in a minute. On the rear, one set of RCA outs, so single-ended only, and two SPDIF outputs, one on coaxial and the other on toslink. We have our Bluetooth antenna, and finally a USB-C in for power or data. Now let's connect it to see what this unit does. I'll power this unit with a battery pack. And the unit is powering up and it automatically goes into Bluetooth pairing mode. I'll turn on the Bluetooth on my iPad and I see the XQ-50 Pro3 and the iPad is connected. You'll see the codec up on top states SBC and 48 kilohertz. I will go ahead and open up Tidal on my iPad. So I have Tidal open, and the second I play something, I should get AAC. And there it is, AAC up on top. Again, this is playing from the Tidal app through an iPad. And on Apple products, you cannot select which codec to send over. Now let me go ahead and disconnect here. And we can disconnect a couple different ways, but I'll just turn my Bluetooth off on my iPad. We're back in pairing mode. Select the XQ-50 Pro3. And I am connected. I'll open up Tidal. And automatically you'll see the codec change to LDAC. You will see 96 kilohertz down in the sampling rate. I'll bring the brightness down on my phone so it's easier to see on screen. So this is something that I noticed before, and I noticed in a few xDuoo devices, and I think it was my bad on this one. So for that, guys, I have to apologize and clarify. So if I play any track here, you will notice that you remain in LDAC at 96 kilohertz. I have some test tracks with different resolution music, and if I play an 88.2 file, we stay at 96 kilohertz. If I play a 44.1 track, we stay at 96 kilohertz. If I play a 192, we stay at 96 kilohertz. And I thought at first that this was an issue with the Bluetooth receiver chip that kept on showing me the same sample rate no matter what I sent it to this device. So Tidal used to have a setting some time ago where it did send bit perfect and would itself in its software configure the output resolution. However, I think Android did an update because now it will upsample everything once again. So it is upsampling. And I found this out while tinkering through the settings here in my phone. In System, I activated developer mode. And I went into developer options, and here we can see our Bluetooth options about 2/3 the way down. We have a few options on Android devices, which is nice, but I do wish it wouldn't resample anything. All right, we're into our Bluetooth section here. If we look at the HD audio tab, we want that to be selected on. If not, you're just gonna get your standard SBC and AAC. Here we can select our codec. And I have LDAC here, but if we select here, we can go down to aptX HD, and you will see that the codec now changes to aptX HD. And this is just to test what is supported. We have the standard aptX, AAC, and SBC. Now I'll go back to LDAC, and if you see under, you have Bluetooth audio sample rate. Unfortunately, here it does a fixed rate, so it will not let you send over what the stream is. It will always upsample to whatever you select here. On my setting, it was set to 96, so you will always see 96 on the display here because the phone itself is resampling everything. And I'll just show you this as I change. That's 88.2, 48, and 44.1. If I hit the system default, it will go to the highest setting, so it'll jump back to that 96 kilohertz. A cool thing with LDAC though is we get one other option, and that is going to be Bluetooth Audio LDAC codec playback quality. And right now it's set for best effect, but here we can change it to whatever we want with different transmission rates. And we can hit the very top one for optimized for audio quality at 990 kilobits per second. And that's where we can click right there. And now we'll have the highest audio quality being sent over to the xDuoo. And that's the connection. Back to the device, we have that selector button on the front, and this toggles through some preset EQs. The first is off, which is our flat. Next is movie, then game, and back to off. On the encoder, we have the volume, and you do have to kind of move it slow. You can't move it too fast or it won't really catch the rotations. One press will give you a pause play on the media, so I'm paused now, and I can hit it again to play. A double tap will disconnect your Bluetooth, and it'll go back into pairing mode to pair another device. And finally, a long press will power down. Now over here at my PC, I'll plug in via USB-C cable. And you'll see that the xDuoo switches over to USB mode. Now there's no input for selecting Bluetooth or USB mode, it's auto sensing. But something about the USB adapter is I can't quite get it to send over anything over 48 kilohertz. I'll go back to my title app, again back to my test tracks. I'll hit a 48 kilohertz file. Same thing, we're seeing 48 kilohertz. I'll hit a 44.1 file. We will see that change to 44.1. I'll go to 96 kilohertz. Same thing, 48. And 88.2. Same thing, nothing happens. Now I am in exclusive mode on the title app, so I should be getting the correct sampling rate regardless of what Windows is sending over, but I'm only getting up to 48 kilohertz. So on my Windows 11 computer, I'll head over to sound, and the XQ-50 Pro is selected. Here I can see the format, and our only options are 16-bit 44.1 and 16-bit 48.0. So on this device, we're actually going to get better output through the Bluetooth than the USB-C input. As for the build quality, it's typical xDuoo, super solid, all aluminum, very nice build quality. And I do appreciate the fact that xDuoo calls this a Bluetooth converter and headphone amp, because that is primarily what they are. I want to say that the USB input on this particular unit is more of a value add. It's a nice to have, but I don't think it's the main reason to purchase this unit. Let's go on to the specs. The XQ-50 Pro3 uses a Cirrus Logic DAC, the CS43131. The Bluetooth to SPDIF out conversion is also done by a Cirrus Logic chip, the CS4806 conversion chip. The headphone output single-ended at 360 milliwatts into 32 ohms, with a THD plus N at 0.008% and signal to noise at 115 decibels. On the RCA out, your THD plus N is 0.002%, and you do get a full 2 volts out of that output. And the Bluetooth is handled by a Qualcomm QCC5125. As for my listening impressions, this little $109 headphone amplifier sounds great for the price. As a Bluetooth adapter connected over RCAs over to my preamp and over to my power amp, the sound is crisp and clean with nice punchy bass. I'd say the sound is more similar to the SMSL PS200 DAC with the ESS chip than it is to the SU1 with the AKM chip. Again, it won't be able to output high resolution files, but you will get CD quality. As a headphone amp, I tested this headphone amp with a few different headphones. The first set of headphones that I tried was a Status Audio CB1, and this guy is a 32 ohm headphone with 97 dB sensitivity, and that's my beater pair that I use for all my video editing. And with this guy, the bass was pretty nice, mid-range was crystal clear, but the highs were slightly crisper than I would have liked. Next, I switched over to the Sitka Robbins, and on this guy, still 32 ohm impedance, but 105 decibel sensitivity. So you got quite a bit more output out of those headphones than the CB1s. The bass was much more impactful, the mid-range was a little more full as well, the crispness about the same, but that Civica did take that sharpness out of the highs that I was getting out of the CB1s. So much more enjoyable listening experience with those Robins. I think it makes for a great pairing, especially at that price. That's a $150 headphone and a $109 headphone amp, I think works well. I did test one more set of headphones, and this was the collaboration with Apos Audio and Audio-Technica, the ATH R70X Refine. With these guys here, incredible, incredible. This little headphone amplifier had more than enough power, and this guy is quite a bit harder to drive. This is a 470 ohm impedance with 98 dB sensitivity. So the little headphone amp on this guy had a crank up to maybe around 70, where I was getting an excellent level, and honestly it was plenty for me. Once you go after around 70, you do start to lose the bass and the mids get crunchy, but until then everything is crystal clear, super enjoyable. Now on the Audio-Technica, I can definitely get more out of this headphone with an amplifier with closer to 1 to 2 watts, but it really does show you what this 360 milliwatt amp can do. It honestly did a great job. Now if I purchased that set of headphones, the xDuoo wouldn't be my primary choice for headphone amplifiers. However, it can do the job, and I was very pleasantly surprised. And shout out to Apos Audio also. They sold out on this unit. They sold their 1,000 that they had made. Congratulations to them. It's an awesome pair of headphones, and I'll be doing my review on this one soon. But back to the XQ-50 Pro3, I will tell you that it doesn't give you as much power as a topping A50 Mark III or an FX Audio RO7 Plus. However, for less sensitive headphones, this really is a great option. And the nice thing about this, as you've seen earlier, with a power pack, this makes for a really compact kit. You can actually just use it on a tabletop as this. You don't need a computer. You can Bluetooth from your phone and have your headphones hooked up. A power brick will probably last you quite a long time. So it is rather portable as well. So it can serve multiple purposes. Once again, I really wouldn't call this a DAC. Because you can't really use it as an outboard DAC. You can't connect a streamer to it. There's no digital ins except for that USB. And again, it doesn't give you the best resolutions. However, for what it is, at $109, I really do love it. The headphone section does sound great. But the one thing that I will say about the preset EQs, they sound horrible besides flat when you're listening to music. I had some music playing and I went through the movie and the game. Awful. However, I did open up my browser and I played some Netflix. I switched over to the movie setting, and what you really get with that movie setting is a dialogue boost. So everything in the vocal range does go quite a bit brighter. It does come at you a little more, and it makes that dialogue much easier to understand. So for that purpose, the movie works excellent. The gaming mode, on the other hand, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know how good this would work. But all it is a giant bass boost. The mids come down, the highs come down, and everything is basically thunder. Maybe for a first-person shooter, that might be what you're looking for, but I can't say that I would use a game EQ myself. So overall, I really dig the xDuoo XQ-50 Pro3. Kind of a long name, and it does have its quirks, but for the main purpose of a headphone amplifier and or a converter for your Bluetooth, it gets the job done, and it really does sound very nice. And I have tested out quite a few converters. There is one other one that I would put in the same ballpark as this unit here. And that would be another product from Aoshida, the S5 Blade. And this one does use an ESS 9039 Q2M. So I do think you get a little bit more sharpness out of the ESS, out of the Blade here, than on the xDuoo. But again, it's another animal. You don't get a headphone amplifier out of this unit, whereas you do here. Over here you get an FM radio, so a little better for cabins. This is a little more multi-purpose for headphones and conversion. And I would say to date, these two are the best Bluetooth converters that I have listened to currently. So for $109 again, the xDuoo is a solid pick. Alright guys, that's all I have for you on this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.